Question 1. Factorizing cubic equation. We're told to factorize and solve the following cubic equations. A, x cubed minus 2x squared minus 24x equal to 0. So what do we do here? If we look at this equation, there's a common factor, x, x, x. So we can take it out. X into bracket, x squared minus 2x minus 24 equal to 0. Right, so don't forget, actually that x actually implies x minus 0 or x plus 0. X squared minus 2x minus 24 equal to 0. So that means I have to set that to 0 and I need to set that one to 0. So x minus 0 equal to 0. Therefore, x equals 0. So that's one solution. But the second bracket is a quadratic. So I found one factor, and the factor is x minus 0. X minus 0 is x. So a factor is x. And the second bracket is a quadratic, which means I need to solve that quadratic. So that is x squared minus 2x minus 24 equal to 0. This is factorizable because this is minus 24 and AC is minus 24. 4 and 6 will do it. 4 and 6. So if I have x squared minus plus 4x minus 6x minus 24 equal to 0, because 6 times minus 4 times minus 6 is minus 24. So 4x minus 6x will still give me 2x minus 2x. So the common factor here will be x into bracket x plus 4. And the common factor here is minus 6. So if I take minus 6 out, I'll get x plus 4. So that means same common factor here. So the solution will be x minus 4, x plus 4, x minus 6 equal to 0. Which means that I can now set, let me just draw this line here, which implies that I can now set that to 0 and that to 0 to find the solution. So if I write it here, x plus 4 times x minus 6 equal to 0, x plus 4 equal to 0, which implies that x equals minus 4. That's one root. And the other, x minus 6 equal to 0, which implies that x equal to 6. So my roots are, when I factorize it and solve, it says factorize and solved. So my factors are x into bracket x plus 4, x minus 6. That's my factors equal to 0. And the roots are x equals 0, comma, x equals minus 4 and 6. Right, so now let's do question B. Question B says minus x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x. The first thing I need to do here is take out minus x, because I want to make that coefficient positive. So if I take out minus x, I would have x squared plus, if I take out minus, that will become plus, because that's now plus now, because I've taken minus out. It's plus. Minus x times plus x squared is minus x cubed. So that has to be plus, because if I open the bracket, multiply minus x times 2x will be minus 2x squared. That will be minus, to make that plus when I open the bracket, and that'll be 3, all that equal to 0. Okay, now I've got one root, which is minus x equal to 0, therefore x equal to 0. So that's one root now. That's one factor. You could say a factor is minus x minus 0, but it's minus x. And the other factor here, I need to set it to 0. When I set that to 0, minus x equals to 0, minus x equal to 0, therefore x equals 0. If I multiply it by minus 1, minus 1. Now, x squared plus 2x minus 3, and I need to equate that to 0. Again, I can factorize this. I'm thinking 1 and 3 will be the factors. So if I have x squared, now I want to have plus 2. So if I have x squared minus x plus 3x minus 1 times 3 is minus 3. Minus 1 plus 3 is plus 2. So that's correct. And minus 3 equal to 0. And so x is common. I get x minus 1. 3 is common here. Plus 3. That would be x minus 1, 2. And that equal to 0. You see, that is equal to that. Because they're equal, that's good. That means you're doing the right thing. So the factor here are x plus 3 and x minus 1. So the factors altogether are x or minus x, x plus 3, x minus 1. And the roots or solutions are x equals 0, because that's the first one there. And then x equals, if I set these two to 0, if I set those to 0, I will get if I set these two to 0, because those are the two factors now, x plus 3 equal to 0, x equals minus 3, and the second one, x minus 1 equal to 0, x equals 1. So these are the roots. So that will be comma x equals to minus 3 and x equals to 1, where y equal to 0. In this case as well, don't forget y equal to 0. Because when you find the roots, that's when y is 0. Because they've got 3 roots, as you can see, by sketching the graph, they will cross x at y equals to 0. Question 2. Solve the cubic equation minus 4x cubed minus 4x squared plus x equal to 0. So let's write the equation down. Minus 4x cubed minus 4x squared plus x equal to 0. Let's take x minus x out as a common factor. You can see x, x, x. So I'll take minus x out. So I can get 4x squared plus 4x minus 1 equal to 0. That's a factor, and this is a factor. But the second factor is a quadratic. So I need to factorize that. To factorize the quadratic, I want to test to see whether that's factorizable. Well, to do that, I need to write my d, which equals to b squared minus 4ac. If it's factorizable, I will get a perfect square. My b is 4, a is 4, c is minus 1. Right, so I get 4 squared minus 4 into bracket, 4 into bracket minus 1. Now, what do I get? I get 16 minus 4 times 4 is minus 16 times minus 1 is plus 16. And that implies that d equals 32. 32 is not a perfect square, therefore you cannot factorize that quadratic equation. If it's a perfect square, I will be able to factorize it. Again, that's helped us actually, because we're going to use that later. So let's use, to solve this quadratic here, let's use the quadratic formula. X equals minus b plus or minus root d, that's the d here, over 2a, where I will get minus b. b is 4, so minus 4, plus or minus root 32 over 2 times 4. What is root 32? Root 32 is root of 16. So you find the highest perfect square. The highest perfect square, obviously, 1, 2 squared, that's 4. 3 squared, no, it doesn't go. 4 squared, yeah, 16. So root of 16 will give you 4. So 16 times 2 is 32, and which will be root 16 times root 2, and that will be 4 root 2. So I'm going to use that here. So that will be minus 4 plus or minus 4 root 2 over 8. 4 is a common factor, so I take 4 out. I get 1 minus 1 plus or minus root 2 over 8. And that gives me 2 goes here, 1, 2 goes here, 2. So I'm going to get minus 1 plus or minus root 2 over 2. So what do I get? I get minus 1 over 2 plus or minus root 2 over 2. And that's the x solution. Therefore, the solutions are x equals to 0 is the first one, because minus x equal to 0. Just let me use this one. So for that one, it's minus x equal to 0, therefore x equal to 0. So that's one. And then the second one is this one here, which we found here. Now, what we're going to do is to write down those answers. So the roots are x equal to 0, x equals minus a half, plus root 2 over 2 and x equals minus a half minus root 2 over 2.